What if I told you that the wealthiest individuals throughout history shared one secret practice, a simple, sacred act performed in the quiet moments before sleep that opened invisible vaults of abundance the conscious mind cannot even comprehend? What if there exists an object, perhaps resting upon your nightstand at this very moment, that when touched with understanding and faith in those precious twilight moments between waking and sleeping, becomes a key, a literal key, to what I call the bank of the universe, that infinite storehouse where every desire already exists in completed form, waiting only for your conscious recognition to flow into your material experience? I have spent decades studying the laws of mind, counseling thousands of individuals from every walk of life, and I can tell you with absolute certainty that the difference between those who struggle endlessly for financial security and those who seem to attract wealth as naturally as breathing lies not in education, not in opportunity, not in family connections, but in their understanding of one fundamental truth. The subconscious mind is the gateway to infinite supply, and the moments before sleep are the golden hours when that gateway swings wide open. Tonight, you will learn the specific technique that has transformed paupers into prosperous souls, that has lifted the desperate from bankruptcy into abundance, that has caused checks to arrive from unexpected sources, opportunities to appear from nowhere, and financial freedom to become not a distant dream but a living, breathing reality. If you are new to this channel, I invite you now to subscribe and join this fellowship of awakened minds who understand that poverty is not a condition imposed from without but a mental state that can be changed from within. Press the like button as your first act of agreement with the infinite, your declaration that you are ready to receive. And in the comments below, write these words as a covenant with your own subconscious. Tonight, I touch the infinite and receive my good. Let this be your commitment to transformation. Now, come with me into the depths of truth that will change your financial life forever. In the stillness of the night, when the conscious mind releases its grip upon the affairs of the day, there exists a sacred interval that the ancients understood but modern humanity has tragically forgotten. This interval, the moments between waking consciousness and the descent into sleep, represents the most powerful manifestation period available to any human being. It is in this twilight realm that the subconscious mind stands most receptive, most impressionable, most ready to receive the seeds that will blossom into the circumstances of your tomorrow. I want you to understand something that will form the foundation of everything I share with you today. The subconscious mind never sleeps. While your conscious awareness fades into dreams, the deeper mind continues its ceaseless work, processing, creating, connecting you to the infinite intelligence that governs all creation. When you learn to use this truth, when you master the art of impressing your subconscious in those final moments before sleep, you gain access to creative powers that most people never even suspect exist within them. The Bible speaks of this nocturnal wisdom with remarkable clarity. In the book of Job, chapter 33, verses 14 through 16, we read, "For God speaketh once, yet twice, yet man perceiveth it not. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, in slumberings upon the bed, then he openeth the ears of men, and sealeth their instruction." Do you grasp the profound significance of these words? The infinite speaks to you in the night. Divine instruction is sealed, made permanent, made real, during the hours of sleep. This is not poetry. This is the revelation of a law as precise and dependable as any principle of physics. When you understand this law and apply it correctly, you transform your sleep from mere rest into the most productive hours of your existence. Now, what is this object I speak of, this item you are to touch before sleep to open the bank of the universe? Let me reveal it to you, and as I do, let your understanding expand beyond the mere physical into the realm of spiritual truth. The object is a written statement of your desire, your own handwritten declaration of the wealth, the abundance, the financial freedom you claim as your divine inheritance. This piece of paper, inscribed with your specific goal stated as though already accomplished, becomes when touched with faith and feeling the most powerful manifestation tool available to you. It is not the paper itself that holds power. It is what the paper represents to your subconscious mind, a tangible, physical anchor for the invisible reality you are creating. Let me share with you a case that demonstrates this principle with remarkable precision. A man came to me many years ago in a state of financial despair. He had lost his business, his savings were depleted, and creditors pursued him relentlessly. He asked me, with tears in his eyes, whether there was any hope for someone who had fallen so far, so fast. I looked at him with compassion but also with the certainty that comes from understanding divine law. I told him that his present circumstances were nothing more than the crystallized results of past mental patterns, patterns that could be dissolved and replaced by new ones. His financial disaster was not a punishment, not a fate, not a permanent condition. It was simply the subconscious mind faithfully reproducing what had been impressed upon it through years of fear, worry, and negative expectation. I instructed him to write upon a piece of paper these words: "I am so happy and grateful now that money flows to me freely, abundantly, and continuously from multiple sources. I am financially free." He was to place this paper upon his nightstand, and each night before sleep, he was to hold it in his hands, read it slowly with feeling, and then close his eyes and allow himself to drift into sleep feeling the reality of financial freedom as though it had already manifested. He followed my instructions with the desperation of a drowning man grasping a lifeline. For 3 weeks, he performed the ritual faithfully, though during the day his circumstances seemed unchanged. Creditors still called. Bills still arrived. The conscious mind still whispered doubts. But he persisted. He understood that the subconscious operates on its own timetable, that seeds planted require time to grow, that faith means trusting the law even when results are not yet visible. Then, on the 23rd night of his practice, something extraordinary occurred. As he held his written statement and prepared for sleep, an idea flashed into his mind, not a vague notion but a clear, specific, actionable idea for a business opportunity he had never before considered. It came with such clarity and conviction that he knew immediately it was the response of his subconscious to his nightly impressions that he acted upon this idea with enthusiasm. Within 1 month, he had secured a partner. Within 3 months, the new venture was profitable. Within 1 year, he had not only cleared all his debts but had accumulated more wealth than he had ever possessed in his previous business. When he returned to thank me, I reminded him that I had done nothing except point him toward the power within himself. The subconscious mind, impressed each night with the feeling of abundance, had connected him to the infinite creativity of divine mind and had delivered the solution in perfect timing. This is what I mean when I speak of the bank of the universe. It is not a metaphor. It is a description of reality. There exists within the infinite subconscious realm a supply without limit, a storehouse of ideas, opportunities, connections, and resources that far exceeds anything the conscious mind could ever devise or imagine. When you learn to access this bank through the proper use of pre-sleep impression, you tap into wealth that has no ceiling, no boundary, no restriction. The wise Solomon understood this truth. In the book of Proverbs, chapter 8, verses 17 through 21, wisdom herself declares, "I love them that love me, and those that seek me early shall find me. Riches and honor are with me, yea, durable riches and righteousness. My fruit is better than gold, yea, than fine gold, and my revenue than choice silver. I lead in the way of righteousness, in the midst of the paths of judgment, that I may cause those that love me to inherit substance, and I will fill their treasures." This wisdom is not external knowledge but the deep knowing of the subconscious mind aligned with infinite intelligence. Those who seek it early, who make the pursuit of subconscious harmony their first priority, find riches and honor. Not temporary, fleeting wealth that comes and goes, but durable riches, prosperity that endures because it is rooted in spiritual law rather than mere circumstance. Let me explain more precisely why the pre-sleep period holds such extraordinary power. When you prepare for sleep, the conscious mind begins to release its analytical function. The critical faculty, that part of your awareness that questions, doubts, and evaluates, begins to fade. This is precisely why the pre-sleep state is so valuable, for it is the critical faculty that normally guards the gateway to the subconscious, rejecting suggestions that do not align with existing beliefs. During the day, if you affirm "I am wealthy," your conscious mind may immediately respond with contradiction: "No, you're not. Look at your bank account. Look at your debts. Look at your circumstances." This internal argument prevents the positive suggestion from reaching the subconscious with sufficient power to create change. But at night, in those drowsy moments before sleep claims you, the guardian of the gate grows sleepy itself. Your affirmation can slip past with minimal resistance. When you touch your written statement, feel its reality, and drift into sleep holding the conviction of wealth already manifested, you are planting seeds directly in the fertile soil of the subconscious without the conscious mind trampling upon them. I want you to understand the mechanics of this process, for understanding increases faith, and faith is the essential ingredient in all manifestation. When you write your statement of desire and touch it each night before sleep, you are engaging in what I call the technique of assumption. You are assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You are not hoping, not wishing, not asking, you are accepting. You are claiming your good as though it already exists, because in the deeper realm of mind, it does exist. All that remains is for it to take form in the material world. The Apostle Paul understood this when he wrote in his letter to the Hebrews, chapter 11, verse 1, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Notice carefully, faith is substance. It is evidence. It is not a passive waiting but an active recognition that what you desire already exists in spiritual form. Your nightly ritual of touching your written statement and feeling its reality is an act of faith that gives substance to your desire and provides evidence to your subconscious that it should begin creating the material manifestation. Let me share with you another case that demonstrates the precision with which this law operates. A young woman came to me seeking guidance about her financial future. She worked as a secretary, earned a modest salary, and saw no path to the prosperity she deeply desired. She felt trapped by her circumstances, limited by her education, restricted by her position in life. I explained to her that her sense of limitation was itself the limitation. Her circumstances were not the cause of her poverty consciousness but the result of it. If she could change her internal conviction about wealth, her external circumstances would inevitably follow. I taught her the technique of the written statement. Each night, she was to hold a paper upon which she had written, "I am now attracting into my life the perfect opportunity for abundant financial increase. Doors open for me. People favor me. Prosperity is my natural state." She was to touch this paper, read it with feeling, and fall asleep in the assumption that she was already living in the reality of abundant opportunity. She committed to the practice with remarkable consistency. Night after night, she performed the ritual. During the day, she continued her secretarial work, but she noticed that her attitude began to shift. She felt less like a victim of circumstance and more like a woman awaiting the arrival of good she knew was coming. This shift in attitude, though she did not fully understand it at the time, was the first visible sign that the subconscious was receiving and accepting her nightly impressions. After 7 weeks of practice, her employer called her into his office. Her heart sank, for she feared some criticism or complaint. Instead, he informed her that he had been observing her work and her attitude, and he wanted to offer her a position in the company's investment division, a position that would triple her salary and introduce her to the world of finance she had secretly dreamed of entering. She told me later that she had never expressed this interest to anyone, had never applied for such a position, had never even mentioned to her employer that she had any knowledge of investments. Yet somehow, the perfect opportunity had materialized as though orchestrated by an invisible hand. And of course, it was the invisible hand of her own subconscious mind, responding to her nightly impressions and connecting her to the opportunities that matched her inner conviction. This is how the bank of the universe operates. You do not need to know where the money will come from. You do not need to devise the plan, identify the opportunity, or arrange the circumstances. Your only task is to impress your subconscious with the feeling of abundance and then trust the infinite wisdom within to bring forth manifestation through channels you could never consciously anticipate. The Master Jesus taught this truth with unmistakable clarity when he said, "Take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, nor yet for your body, what ye shall put on. But seek ye first the kingdom of God, and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." What is the kingdom of God? It is the realm of consciousness, the subconscious domain where divine law operates without limitation. When you seek first this kingdom, when you make the alignment of your subconscious with abundance your primary concern, all external provisions follow automatically. You do not need to manipulate, scheme, or struggle. You need only to believe, to impress, and to receive. Now, I must address a question that arises in many minds when these truths are presented. Why should the act of touching a physical object enhance the effectiveness of pre-sleep suggestion? Why should holding a piece of paper in your hands before sleep be more powerful than merely thinking positive thoughts? The answer lies in the nature of the subconscious mind itself. The subconscious does not clearly distinguish between a real experience and a vividly imagined one. This is why visualization is so powerful. When you imagine something with sufficient clarity and feeling, the subconscious accepts it as real and begins to create corresponding circumstances. When you add the physical sensation of touch, when you feel the paper in your hands, when you trace the words you have written, when you hold the tangible symbol of your desire, you are multiplying the channels through which the impression reaches the subconscious. You are engaging not only your visual imagination but your tactile sensation, your kinesthetic awareness, your sense of physical reality. This multisensory impression is far more powerful than thought alone. Consider this carefully. When the high priest of ancient Israel entered the Holy of Holies, he did not merely think about God's presence, he touched the sacred objects, he smelled the incense, he heard the bells upon his garments. The physical engagement made the spiritual reality more vivid, more present, more impressionable upon his consciousness. Similarly, when you touch your written statement each night, you are making your desire more vivid, more present, more real to your subconscious. The paper becomes a sacred object, a tangible link between your conscious intention and your subconscious creative power. Each night, as you hold it and feel its reality, you strengthen the impression until it becomes the dominant pattern in your subconscious, and what is dominant in the subconscious must eventually manifest in the external world. I recall a businessman who came to me after hearing these teachings, skeptical but willing to experiment. He had a specific financial goal. He needed to raise $50,000 within 90 days to complete a business acquisition. He had explored every conventional avenue without success. Banks had declined his loan applications. Investors had turned him away. He saw no path forward, yet he was not ready to abandon his dream. I taught him to write his goal in specific terms. I am so happy and grateful that I have now received $50,000 or more for my business acquisition. The perfect sum has come to me easily and effortlessly, and my business prospers beyond my expectations. Each night, he was to hold this paper, feel the joy of having received the money, and fall asleep in the certainty of its manifestation. He followed my guidance with precision. Each night, he performed the ritual. Each morning, he arose without knowing where the money would come from, but with a growing confidence that it would come. He did not abandon practical action during the day. He continued to explore opportunities and meet with potential partners. But his attitude had shifted from desperation to expectation, from anxiety to peace. On the 67th night of his practice, he received a telephone call from a distant relative he had not spoken to in years. This relative, it turned out, had recently sold a property and was looking for investment opportunities. When the businessman mentioned his acquisition, the relative expressed immediate interest. Within 2 weeks, the exact sum needed, actually more than the sum needed, was transferred into his account. The acquisition was completed, and the business flourished beyond anything he had imagined. Was this coincidence? Was it luck? I tell you it was neither. It was the law of the subconscious in perfect operation. The nightly impressions had communicated his need to the infinite, which knows all people, all circumstances, all possibilities. The subconscious had connected him to the perfect source at the perfect time, orchestrating a solution his conscious mind could never have devised. This is the bank of the universe at work. It has unlimited accounts. It knows all depositors. It can arrange transfers of wealth from sources you do not even know exist. Your only task is to make your withdrawal request clear through the proper technique, the technique of pre-sleep impression, and then trust the bank to deliver through whatever channel the infinite selects. Let me now give you specific instructions for the practice you will begin tonight, for I want no confusion about how to apply these principles. First, you will need a piece of paper and a pen. I prefer that you write by hand rather than type, for the physical act of writing engages the subconscious more deeply than mechanical production. There is a connection between the hand, the mind, and the words produced that typing does not replicate. Write your statement in the present tense, as though your desire is already fulfilled. Do not write "I will be wealthy" or "I want to have money." These statements affirm lack and project fulfillment into an indefinite future. Instead, write "I am wealthy. Money flows to me from multiple sources. I am grateful for my abundant life." Feel the truth of these words as you write them. Let them come not just from your intellect but from your feeling nature. Place this paper upon your nightstand where you can easily reach it. When you prepare for sleep, turn off distractions, the television, the phone, the noise of the world. Create a moment of sacred quiet. Then take the paper in your hands. Hold it. Feel its weight, its texture. Let it become real to you as a physical object. Read the words slowly, not mechanically but with feeling. Let each word sink into your consciousness. As you read, begin to generate the feeling of your desire already fulfilled. How would you feel if you were already wealthy? How would you feel if money flowed to you easily? Generate that feeling now. Let it fill your body, your mind, your entire being. Then close your eyes, still holding the paper, and allow yourself to drift towards sleep while maintaining the feeling. You need not strain to visualize specific images. The feeling is sufficient. The feeling is the secret. The subconscious responds to feeling more than to words or pictures. When you can fall asleep holding the feeling of wealth, you have made the most powerful impression possible. Do not expect immediate results, though they sometimes come. Trust the process. Trust the law. The subconscious works in its own time, arranging circumstances, connecting resources, preparing the manifestation. Your task is faith and persistence. Your task is to continue the nightly practice until results appear, and they will appear, for the law cannot fail. I have shared with you the foundation of a practice that has transformed countless lives. The Bank of the Universe stands ready to honor your withdrawal. The infinite desires your prosperity even more than you desire it yourself. There is no lack in divine mind, no limitation in the subconscious realm. All that prevents the flow of abundance into your life is the mental patterns of lack you have accepted, and tonight, you begin to dissolve those patterns and replace them with the truth of infinite supply. As you prepare to receive the second portion of this teaching, let these words settle into the depths of your being. You are not a victim of economic conditions. You are not limited by your past, your education, or your present circumstances. You are a spiritual being with direct access to infinite resources through the creative power of your subconscious mind. Tonight, you claim that access. Tonight, you touch the infinite. Tonight, the Bank of the Universe opens its vaults to you. And so it begins. We continue now our sacred exploration of truth, and I must tell you that what I am about to share in this second portion of our journey together will take you even deeper into the mysteries of the subconscious mind and its infinite capacity to bring wealth into your experience. If you have applied the technique I described in our first session, if you have written your statement, touched it before sleep, and allowed yourself to drift into slumber holding the feeling of abundance, you have already begun to create changes in the invisible realm that will soon manifest in the visible world of your experience. But there is more to understand. There are subtleties to master. There are depths of truth yet to explore that will multiply your results and accelerate your manifestation beyond anything you have previously experienced. Let me speak to you now about the nature of the subconscious mind itself, for true understanding of this remarkable faculty will increase your faith, and increased faith produces increased results. The subconscious mind is not merely a storage vault for memories and learned behaviors. It is a creative medium of infinite power, directly connected to what I call universal subconscious mind, that vast ocean of intelligence in which all knowledge exists, all possibilities reside, and all solutions wait to be discovered. When you impress your individual subconscious with a desire held in faith, you are not merely programming a personal computer. You are sending a signal into the infinite, a request that ripples outward through the universal medium and attracts to you everything necessary for its fulfillment. This is why I speak of the Bank of the Universe, because the resources available to you are not limited to what you know, what you can see, or what you can logically arrange. They encompass everything that exists, including resources, people, and opportunities you cannot currently imagine. The Bible expresses this truth with remarkable precision in the letter to the Ephesians, chapter 3, verse 20. Now unto him that is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. Read these words with fresh eyes. The infinite is able to do exceeding abundantly above what you ask or think. Your conscious mind, with all its planning and scheming, cannot conceive the fullness of what the subconscious can deliver. When you touch your written statement each night and impress your desire upon the deeper mind, you are activating a power that will bring results exceeding your requests and surpassing your imagination. I want to share with you now a case that illustrates this principle of exceeding abundance. A widow came to me in a state of quiet desperation. Her husband had passed suddenly, leaving debt she did not know existed and insurance that proved inadequate. She was facing the loss of her home, the only security she had known for 30 years. She asked me simply, "Is there any hope?" I told her that hope was not only possible but certain, if she would apply the laws of mind with faith and persistence. I taught her the technique of the written statement. She wrote, "I am divinely protected and provided for. My home is secure. Money comes to me from unexpected sources. I am at peace." Each night, she held this paper, read the words with what feeling she could muster, and fell asleep in the assumption that her problem was already solved. The first few nights were difficult. Grief and fear competed with faith. But she persisted. She understood that the subconscious responds to repetition, that each night's impression builds upon the last, that consistency creates cumulative power. After 3 weeks of faithful practice, something remarkable occurred. She received a letter from an attorney she had never heard of, representing an estate she knew nothing about. It appeared that a distant uncle, someone she had met only once as a child, had named her in his will. The inheritance was not merely sufficient to clear her debts, it was substantial enough to secure her home, establish savings, and provide comfortable income for the remainder of her life. She returned to me weeping with gratitude, asking how such a thing could be possible. I explained that her nightly impressions had connected her subconscious with the universal mind, which knows all people, all wills, all provisions. The uncle had made his bequest years before her husband's death, before her crisis even existed. But the timing of its manifestation in her awareness, the arrival of that letter precisely when she needed it, was not coincidence. It was the subconscious orchestrating circumstances, accelerating processes, bringing into her experience the provision that already existed but which she had not known to claim. This is what I mean when I say the bank of the universe contains accounts you do not know exist. Your nightly practice does not create wealth from nothing. It connects you to wealth that already exists somewhere in the infinite field of possibility. It draws to you the people, circumstances, and resources that match your inner conviction. It opens doors you did not know were there and reveals pathways you could never have planned. Now, I must address a matter of great importance, the question of feeling and its role in the manifestation process. Many people perform the technique mechanically. They write their statement, they touch the paper, they recite the words, and they fall asleep unchanged. They wonder why results do not appear, not realizing that they have omitted the essential ingredient. Feeling is the secret. The subconscious mind is not impressed by words alone. It is impressed by the emotional conviction behind the words. When you touch your written statement and feel the reality of wealth, when you generate within yourself the satisfaction, the peace, the joy of abundance already manifested, you are speaking the language the subconscious understands. Without this feeling, your words are empty sounds, your ritual is meaningless motion. Consider how you feel when you receive genuinely good news. Not hoped for news, not anticipated news, but news of something wonderful that has actually happened. There is a quality to that feeling, a warmth, or expansion, a settling of peace mixed with excitement. This is the feeling you must generate as you touch your statement each night. You must feel as though the abundance you describe has already arrived, as though the check has already cleared, as though the account is already full. The book of Mark, chapter 11, verse 24, declares this truth in unmistakable terms. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. Notice the verb tense with great care. Believe that ye receive them, present tense, not future. Not believe that ye will receive them someday, but believe that ye receive them now, in this moment, as accomplished fact. This is the attitude of feeling you must cultivate as you touch your statement and prepare for sleep. You receive now. The wealth is yours now. The bank account is full now. You feel this reality now, and by feeling it, you impress the subconscious with such power that manifestation becomes inevitable. Let me share another example that demonstrates the power of feeling in the manifestation process. A salesman came to me frustrated with inconsistent results. Some months he would prosper, other months he would barely survive. He had tried every sales technique, every motivation strategy, every practical approach, yet his income remained unpredictable and insufficient. I asked him to describe his mental state as he approached each sales call. He admitted that he often felt anxious, worried about rejection, fearful of failure. Even when he put on a confident exterior, internally he was bracing for disappointment. I explained that his subconscious was faithfully producing results that matched his dominant feeling, and his dominant feeling was one of uncertainty and fear. I taught him the technique of the written statement, but I emphasized the cultivation of feeling above all else. His statement read, I am a successful salesman. Customers are naturally attracted to me. I provide genuine value, and prosperity flows to me easily. Each night, he was to hold this paper and feel, truly feel, the satisfaction of successful sales already completed, the joy of exceeding his goals, the peace of financial security already established. He found the feeling difficult at first. Years of struggle had conditioned him to expect difficulty. But I taught him a method to cultivate the right feeling. I told him to remember a time when he had made a particularly successful sale, to recall that moment vividly, to feel again the triumph and satisfaction he had experienced. Then, holding that feeling, he was to transfer it to his general expectation, to feel that every sales situation carried that same potential for success. He practiced this diligently. Within 1 month, his sales began to increase. Within 3 months, he had doubled his average performance. Within 1 year, he had become the top producer in his company, earning recognition and compensation he had never before achieved. When he thanked me, I reminded him that the external change had followed the internal change. By mastering his feeling state, he had reprogrammed his subconscious, and the subconscious had responded by creating circumstances that matched his new inner conviction. This is the key that unlocks the bank of the universe, feeling. The written statement focuses your mind. The act of touching engages your physical senses. But the feeling, the genuine emotional conviction of wealth already present, is what impresses the subconscious with sufficient power to create lasting change. Now, I want to speak to you about persistence and its role in the manifestation process, For many people begin the practice with enthusiasm but abandon it when results do not appear immediately. They perform the ritual for a few nights, perhaps a week, and when their circumstances remain unchanged, they conclude that the technique does not work. This conclusion is a tragic error. The subconscious mind operates according to laws that do not always align with conscious expectations about timing. Seeds planted today do not produce harvest tomorrow. The impression you make tonight begins immediately to create its corresponding reality, but the manifestation in your physical experience may require days, weeks, or even months to materialize. During this interval, the subconscious is working, reorganizing, connecting, preparing. Your task is not to question or doubt but to persist in faith. The Bible offers profound guidance on this matter. In the letter to the Galatians, chapter 6, verse 9, we read, "And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap, if we faint not." The promise is absolute, you shall reap. But the timing is described as due season, not your preferred season, not your expected season, but the appropriate season according to the law of growth and manifestation. And the condition is equally clear, if we faint not. If you persist. If you continue. If you maintain your practice and your faith through the waiting period. I recall a man who nearly abandoned the practice just before his breakthrough arrived. He had been performing the nightly ritual for 2 months without visible result. His financial situation remained dire. Bills accumulated. Creditors pressed. His conscious mind screamed that the technique was foolish, that he was wasting his time, that he should focus on practical solutions. He came to me ready to quit. I asked him one question: when you touch your statement and close your eyes, do you feel the reality of abundance? Or do you feel the reality of your problems? He admitted that his feeling was divided, that even as he spoke the words of wealth, his heart felt the weight of debt. I explained that he had identified the obstacle. His words spoke abundance, but his feeling contradicted his words. The subconscious was receiving mixed signals and therefore producing mixed results. I instructed him to focus entirely on the feeling, to forget the words if necessary and simply feel, as vividly as possible, the relief and joy of financial freedom. I told him to stay with the feeling until it became more real than his problems, and then to fall asleep in that state. He returned to his practice with renewed understanding. This time, he gave attention to the feeling first. He would recall moments of past prosperity, moments when he had felt financially secure, and he would amplify those feelings until they filled his consciousness. Then, holding the feeling, he would touch his statement and drift into sleep. 3 weeks later, a business opportunity appeared, not something he had sought but something that sought him. A former colleague called with an invitation to join a venture that perfectly suited his abilities. Within 6 months, his income had more than tripled. Within 2 years, he had achieved a level of prosperity he had never previously imagined. The difference was persistence through understanding. Once he grasped the role of feeling and applied it correctly, the subconscious received a clear, consistent impression and responded accordingly. Had he abandoned the practice in his moment of doubt, he would have returned to his old patterns and his old results. Persistence carried him through to manifestation. Let me now share with you an advanced application of this technique that has produced remarkable results for those ready to receive it. Beyond the general statement of abundance, you may create specific statements for specific goals, touching different papers for different purposes on successive nights. For example, if you seek a specific sum of money, write a statement that includes that exact amount. I am so happy and grateful now that I have received $100,000 or more. This money has come to me easily and brought only good into my life. Touch this paper on the first night. If you seek a specific opportunity, a job, a business partnership, an investment, write a statement describing that opportunity as already manifested. I am so happy and grateful now that I have the perfect position that uses my talents, pays me abundantly, and fulfills my purpose. Touch this paper on the second night. If you seek general financial freedom and prosperity consciousness, write a statement affirming your new identity. I am wealthy. Prosperity is my natural state. Money flows to me from expected and unexpected sources. I live in abundance. Touch this paper on the third night. By rotating through these statements, you create a comprehensive impression upon the subconscious, addressing specific goals while also establishing the general prosperity consciousness that underlies all lasting wealth. The subconscious receives instruction from multiple angles, and the combined effect accelerates manifestation. I have seen remarkable results from this practice. A woman used this rotation method to transform her finances completely within 1 year. She had 3 written statements, one for debt elimination, one for income increase, and one for general prosperity. Each night, she touched a different paper, cycling through all three repeatedly. Within 3 months, her debt had begun to decrease through unexpected windfalls. Within 6 months, a promotion had increased her income by 40%. Within 12 months, she was completely debt-free with growing investments and a transformed relationship with money. The power of this approach lies in its comprehensiveness. You are not merely asking for one thing, you are rebuilding your entire financial consciousness. The subconscious receives instruction about specific goals and about your fundamental identity as a prosperous person. Both levels of impression reinforce each other, creating rapid and lasting transformation. Now, I want to address the matter of what happens during sleep itself, for this understanding will increase your faith in the process and help you trust the night hours as productive manifestation time. When you fall asleep holding the feeling of abundance, the conscious mind withdraws, but the subconscious continues its work. It processes the impression you have made, connects it to the universal mind, and begins to arrange circumstances for its manifestation. Dreams may play a role in this process. You may find yourself dreaming of wealth, of success, of opportunities. These dreams are not mere fantasy, they are the subconscious mind rehearsing the reality it is creating. Pay attention to these dreams. Sometimes they carry guidance, ideas, or inspiration that will assist your manifestation when you wake. But even without remembered dreams, the work continues. The subconscious operates in realms beyond conscious awareness, making connections, sending signals, arranging coincidences that will appear in your waking life. That chance encounter, that unexpected phone call, that sudden idea, all may be the fruit of impressions made in the hours of sleep. The prophet Isaiah understood this when he wrote, in chapter 64, verse 4, "For since the beginning of the world men have not heard, nor perceived by the ear, neither hath the eye seen, O God, beside thee, what he hath prepared for him that waiteth for him." The Infinite has prepared blessings for you that ear has not heard and eye has not seen. These preparations occur in the invisible realm, beyond conscious perception. Your nightly practice connects you to this invisible preparation and draws its results into your visible experience. You do not need to know what the Infinite is preparing. You need only to trust that the preparation is underway and that your faithful impression will bring it forth. Let me share with you one more case before we conclude, for it demonstrates the full power of this technique applied with understanding and persistence. A young entrepreneur came to me at the very beginning of his business journey. He had an idea, a vision, but no capital, no connections, and no experience in raising funds. He wanted to know if the laws of mind could help him attract the resources he needed. I taught him the technique of the written statement with special emphasis on feeling and persistence. His statement read, "I am so grateful that perfect investors, partners, and resources are drawn to my business. Money flows to me for my venture. Everything I need appears at the perfect time. My business succeeds beyond my dreams." He committed to the practice with remarkable dedication. Every single night, without exception, he touched his statement, cultivated the feeling of success already achieved, and fell asleep in the assumption of his desire fulfilled. He did this not for days or weeks but for months, never wavering, never doubting, never abandoning the practice regardless of external circumstances. During this time, he also took action in the physical world, meeting people, presenting his idea, following leads. But his action was infused with the confidence that came from his nightly practice. He did not approach potential investors with desperation but with the calm assurance of someone who knew his success was inevitable. The manifestations came gradually at first, then with increasing speed. A mentor appeared who opened doors. An investor emerged who believed in his vision. Resources materialized from unexpected directions. Within 2 years, his company had grown from concept to successful operation, employing dozens of people and generating substantial revenue. When he reflected on his journey, he identified the nightly practice as the foundation of everything that followed. It had transformed his consciousness from hopeful entrepreneur to confident creator. It had connected him to opportunities his conscious mind could never have discovered. It had given him the persistence and faith to continue through obstacles that would have defeated someone operating from external resources alone. This is the promise I extend to you today. The Bank of the Universe contains everything you need for prosperity, for security, for the financial freedom you desire. Access to this bank is not restricted to the fortunate few. It is available to everyone who learns the technique and applies it with feeling and persistence. Tonight, you will begin or continue your practice. You will write your statement if you have not yet done so. You will hold it in your hands as you prepare for sleep. You will feel, truly feel, the reality of abundance already manifested. And you will fall asleep in that feeling, trusting the subconscious to work through the night on your behalf that in the days and weeks that follow, you will pay attention to the ideas that come, the opportunities that appear, the people who enter your life. You will take action on the guidance you receive, knowing that your subconscious is directing you toward your good. And you will persist, through any apparent delay, through any seeming obstacle, until manifestation appears. The infinite desires your prosperity. There is no lack in divine mind. The apparent scarcity you may have experienced is not the truth of the universe but the result of mental patterns that can be changed. You change them tonight. You change them every night as you touch your statement and impress your subconscious with the conviction of abundant supply. The psalmist declared in the 23rd Psalm, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." This is not a statement of future provision but of present sufficiency. You do not want, you do not lack, because the infinite shepherd provides everything you need. Your nightly practice aligns you with this provision, opens your consciousness to receive it, and allows it to flow into your experience without obstruction. I leave you now with this commission: practice what you have learned. Do not allow this teaching to remain mere information in your conscious mind. Apply it. Touch the object. Feel the reality. Trust the law. And watch as miracles unfold in your financial life. Miracles that are not really miracles at all but simply the natural operation of spiritual law applied with understanding. The Bank of the Universe has accounts in your name. Tonight, you make your first withdrawal. Tomorrow night, you continue. And the night after that. And the night after that. Until the flow of abundance becomes so natural, so consistent, so expected that poverty becomes a forgotten memory and prosperity becomes your permanent experience. The infinite is with you. The power is within you. The wealth is yours. Claim it now, in the sacred hours before sleep, and let the transformation begin. You are blessed. You are prosperous. You are free. And so it is.